As podcasters, we create experiences for our audiences. Today, I'm going to share what I took away from my family's recent experience with the movie Frozen 2. What's happening, podcasters? This is 1000 Podcasters, and I'm Brian Ensminger. I'm a podcaster and a podcast editor, and I want to see you be successful with your podcast. If you've been following this show for a while, you know that I'm in the middle of a challenge during November. You'll find links to National Podcast Post Month, as well as David Hooper's 30-day solo podcast challenge in the episode notes. However, today I'm interrupting that challenge to bring this to you because I thought that this was so good. And I'll share a little bit about it, but we're talking about my family's experience seeing Frozen 2, the movie, this evening. For most of us, we had a completely new experience with this. It wasn't just the movie, but the way we experienced it was different. And what I took away from it, I think is pretty powerful for us as podcasters, because if we can create what I'm calling a Frozen 2 at the drive-in kind of experience, we can create some truly memorable moments. So I'm going to share this experience with you. My family went to see Frozen 2. You've probably picked up on that because I've said it a few times now. And we wanted to do something a little bit special. This was my wife's idea. We wanted to take the kids to the drive-in. I've never been to the drive-in. My kids have never been to a drive-in. My wife hasn't been for years. And none of us had ever been to the Stardust Drive-In in Watertown, Tennessee. Where's Watertown, Tennessee? Not conveniently located. It's about a 45-minute drive for us to get there. And I had a couple of calls this afternoon. It's a Saturday, but I had a couple of calls, one with a prospective launch client, another with a coaching client just to talk to him about some launch stuff, or some editing stuff. And so I had those, and so we were a little bit tight on time, but we wanted to go ahead and do this because we thought it would be fun for the family. So we worked out a plan. I finished up my second call, and then we very quickly had to hop in the car and get on the road. We had about a 45-minute drive or so with about an hour and 15 minutes to make that drive, which was good because with the timing of everything, we didn't have time to eat dinner. So we planned to eat dinner at the movies. This particular movie theater, being a drive-in, does have a full menu, well, a somewhat limited menu, but they have an actual dinner menu. I've never had dinner at the theater, but I've had food at the theater. I've had popcorn and candy at the theater, and it is not inexpensive. So we knew that it was probably going to cost a little bit of money, but we wanted to do this anyway. So we drove to the drive-in. We got there just in time. It was dark out. It was raining. We almost rear-ended somebody because they stopped in the middle of a highway. I mean, it was just that kind of experience. But we got there. We took a couple of wrong turns. We turned back around. We finally found our way into the parking lot, paid the $30 to get in, found ourselves a parking spot, and then we went and got our food and stuff. And then when we got back to our van, we had planned on this. We opened up the back. We put some blankets in the back and put the seats down so we could all sit in the back of the car and watch the watch the movie from the back of the car, which we thought would be fun. We had our dinner there sitting in my wife's van and watched the movie. We had the speakers on. We had the heat on. It was raining, but it was cold. And so we had blankets on. I mean, we had this whole experience going on. And throughout the movie, it was just really interesting to watch my kids' experience with this. They really enjoyed eating in the back of the car. It was like having a picnic in a car. Don't usually do that. We watched a movie while we were doing that. We don't usually do that. We had popcorn. We had the drinks. We had the whole everything. In the middle of it, I spilled the drink. I mean, it was just that kind of experience. But throughout it, I just was taken aback at how much my kids and my wife and I really seemed to enjoy this experience, even though the sound was coming through the wrong speakers because we were facing the screen backwards, and the picture quality wasn't the best in the world. I mean, it's an outdoor theater. It was nice, but it wasn't quite as good as the full surround sound Dolby digital thing that you get at the theater that's just 5 minutes down the road. But we got done with that, and then we loaded up the car and we drove our 45 minutes or so back to the house. And it was a great experience. Why would I share this with you? Well, because you're a podcaster, and as a podcaster, you're creating experiences for your listeners. And we had this experience. We were willing to pay more to do this because it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for us, or at least a very special experience, maybe not once in a lifetime. We were willing to drive longer. It was inconvenient. We took wrong turns. We had a hard time getting there. It was not in a population center. I mean, we are talking like in the middle of a small town and not easy to find. Then when we got there, because of the timing, we were willing to pay even more to enhance the experience. We had our dinner there. We turned the car around. We watched it backwards. But the movie was really only part of the experience. The real joy, the real fun thing that we got out of this was our family having this time together in a special way. The theater created an experience that created the space for us to create our own experience. And because that experience was good enough, we were willing to give in on some of the potentially more inferior movie experiences. We didn't have the surround sound. The picture wasn't quite as good, but we were able to do that. And it's important for us as podcasters to recognize this. And because if we know this, then as we begin to notice what our listeners and our audience care about, we can double down on that and provide them with what they're looking for and not focus on some of that other stuff quite so much. As podcasters, we have to remember that we're creating an experience, and that if we're the only show in town, if we're the place that people can come for this, they're probably going to be willing to go above and beyond what's required to get what we can provide. And if we can create the space for people to connect and then create their own special experiences, they're going to be willing to overlook some potential shortcomings in some areas of our shows, because the overall value is something that just can't be compared to anything else that they can find. This isn't about trying to corner the market. This is about trying to give them something that is truly so valuable that that's what they want. How are you processing this? I've given you my thoughts. I'm wondering, did you take anything away from the story that I shared? Maybe there's something that I'd missed. I'd love to hear how you think our family's experience might play into how you can approach your show, or maybe how I can approach this show differently. Hit me up on Twitter. You can find me. I'm at Top Tier Audio. And either let me know how you think this story might have impacted you and could be valuable for your show, or how maybe I should use what I just shared with you to make a show that's better from you. I would love to hear from you because I want this show to be valuable for you. If you'd like to connect with me personally, toptieraudio.com is the place for all of that. You'll find links to my social profiles. You'll find a way to set up a consultation or to talk to me about potentially editing a show or helping you launch a show, or reach out to me by email. Subscribe to the show, all of that stuff right there at toptieraudio.com. Thanks so much for listening. Now go out there and make a great podcast.